Hello and welcome everyone. We have saved one of the most important topics for last, how logistics enables the circular economy. My name is Christian Wendt and I hope I can give you some interesting food for thought for your way back home. So let's start right away. You have probably seen this classical, traditional illustration of the circular economy, starting from raw materials, going through design, production, distribution, and so on, ending up with recycling. What this picture lacks is a certain sense of connectivity. How are the different stages are interlinked? How do the different parties and stakeholders are interacting? And how do we ensure that materials and goods are running through this loop? So it obviously needs a more detailed look at it, and this is what EY did with their circular supply chain model. I must confess it looks a bit more complex, but it has a quite clear and easy message. Each and every step in the circular economy requires and depends on logistics and supply chain management. You can see sourcing and deliver at each of these stages. So our industry is a key enabler. We all knew that before. And with this, we have also responsibility going along. So let's take a look at the impact. Supply chain emissions are 26 times higher than the operational emissions a company has on average. That means we have a factor of 26. Let's compare it in an easy way. When you walk around the fair, you have a speed of 5 kilometers per hour on average. A factor of 26 would mean that you drive through this fair with 130 kilometers per hour. That's the speed we have on a German Autobahn. So the factor 26 is quite heavy. And with supply chain material shortages and supply chain disruptions and also ESG criteria coming into play, this will not get easier. So companies have to rethink how they operate in the future to be competitive on the one hand and sustainable on the other hand. And reducing emissions is a first step, and it's crucial, no doubt about it. But circular economy goes even deeper. Circular economy is about keeping the products in the economy as long as possible. And this obviously means we have to start much earlier in the process. So circular economy is important. It's important for us, it's important for our planet, important for our children, but it's also important for our business. Circular economy transactions generated $339 billion in 2022, and it's expected that this number will exceed 700 billion in 2026. This is already next year. And within these 4 years, we have an increase of more than 100%. So that's a huge increase. But where does this increase come from? That's a bit sad information, because only 8.6% of the materials entering the economy are being recycled. So there's a big potential. By increasing this number, we can also increase the revenue. 86%, this means 90% of your product is waste at the end of the day, if we only recycle about 10%. So this makes it clear we have to start early in the process to design products in a more sustainable way, and this is where our shift-left logistics approach comes into play. For sure, supply chain management and logistics has to keep operations running. Yeah? We have to make sure that the production line is running 24/7 without any stoppage. And also when it's about planning and designing and optimizing new facilities, new production lines, supply chain management and logistics plays a vital role. But I would like to shed a light on the very left part when it's about product design and validation. Because at this stage, 80% of a product carbon footprint of the environmental impact a product has over its life cycle, this is determined at this stage. Because There you have the decisions about which materials you're using, which suppliers could be an option, and then also a certain part of your transportation is already defined. So this is key. There we have a big lever for real change. And what I would like to show you is not only a shift to the left, but also a shift to the right to make it a circular story. And let's see what Siemens can offer in this regard. When it's about product design and sourcing, you have to make your mind about the components you need, and also you need to make sure to have a certain portion of recycled materials in that. Then you have to design and optimize your supply chain network in a way that it's most efficient end-to-end. When it's about inbound logistics, you are thinking about consolidation, you have to think about last mile, you have to do some scenario planning to make it more efficient. And in intralogistics and warehouse management, you are thinking about best energy consumption. You want to reduce the amount of stock, you want to reduce the traffic of your AGVs running around in the warehouse. And taking a glimpse into the production and manufacturing, when you plan your production, when you schedule your production, you need to have the transparency into your supply chain to make sure the goods will arrive on time so that you do not have any downtimes in your production, which would then cause energy-heavy restarts of other facilities. When it's about outbound logistics, it's about the optimal packaging of the routing for the execution, and it's also relevant in terms of after sales, because as I said, we want to make sure that products are as long in the economy as possible, so we need to make sure we can repair products. This is a topic and a task for product design, but it's also relevant for the spare part business, so we need to make sure that spare parts reach where it's needed when a product is damaged. And last but not least, it's about collecting and recycling. This is where tracking and tracing is most important, because you need to make sure that recyclable materials will enter the loop again, and you have to make sure about the reverse logistics topics. I would like to continue to give you some real-world examples, because this is not fantasy. So there's maybe not that many companies that are really circular, but the building blocks are already there. And this is a company, Molex. They are producing technology connectivity systems, and they are making use of a design-to-source intelligence platform, which is also from Siemens, a company called SupplyFrame. And they are checking the availability of their components and the parts they need for their production. And with this tool, they managed to reduce the time to analyze their bill of material by 70%, and it has also a positive impact on the resilience. Reichert Logistik is a customer that uses our supply chain suite for optimization and managing the supply chain network, and with truck consolidation, they managed to have 22% less emissions for a specific customer, and you can see again it pays off. So it also reduces cost in a significant way. Looking at the inbound, Leder & Shoe is a company making use of AX4. With that, they got the transparency and visibility into their network, which led to the fact that they could increase the container fill degree by 15%, which is also relevant for the avoidance of less than container load, and they could also deliver their stores much faster than before. Embraco is an appliance manufacturer from South America. They are making use of Siemens Opcenter interplant logistics, which led to a reduction of material buffer by 9%, and with optimized material flows in their warehouse, they could also reduce the downtimes of 12%. Maybe we have some cyclists here, so you know the company Trek Bicycles. They are making use of Siemens Ops Center advanced planning and scheduling, which led to a doubled amount in the throughput, and also they could reduce the number of shutdowns. When it comes to outbound and spare part business, we have an example of Ford in Europe. They use AX4 and control tower based alerts to have a more efficient network for their spare part business in Europe. And the last example, this is not really a recycling example, but what this company does with AX4 is exactly what is needed in this area. As I said before, when it is about recycling, it's about tracking and tracing. And BASF uses AX4 to track their samples which they send to their customers. These are samples which is key for the bigger business. So when the laboratories from the customers say, hey, this is good, we can go for a bigger deal, and that's why BASF needs to make sure those samples are tracked. And with that, they could not only reduce the lead time, they were also able to reduce the amount of paper-based documentation of 86%, which is another sustainability win. So, and for the sake of time, this was a quick ride through the product life cycle from a logistics point of view. And I would like to end with 3 key takeaways. First, logistics and supply chain management are key. They are key enabler for the circular economy, and they are a driver for real change. But they are also relevant and a crucial factor for sustainability. Number 2, the shift left logistics imperative. We must think about logistics and supply chain management at the very beginning. We need to discuss about this at the drawing board and not when it comes to shipment at the loading dock. And number 3, integration is essential. We need to think holistically and tear down the silos between systems, between departments, and between companies if we really want to succeed in a circular economy. And if you want to learn more about what we are thinking about when it comes to circular economy, I would encourage you to download our white paper, which is about how to make your logistics the center of the circular economy. And I heard from my colleagues that we run out of stock about our giveaways. I have one more thing for you. There's a webinar in about 3 weeks from now, and I would like to invite you to join the colleagues when they are talking about digital twins and how they can empower your supply chain sustainability. Thank you very much.